Yehezqel, Ezekiel, chapter 8. And it came to be in the 6th year, in the 6th month, on the 5th of the month, as I sat in the house with the elders of Yahudah sitting before me, that the hand of the Adon Yahuah fell upon me there. And I looked and saw a likeness like the appearance of fire. From his waist and downward the appearance was like fire, and from his waist and upward the appearance of brightness like glowing metal. And he stretched out the form of a hand and took me by a lock of my hair. And the Ruah lifted me up between the earth and the Shamayim, and brought me in visions of Elohim to Yerushalayim, to the door of the north gate of the inner court, where the seat of the image of jealousy was, which causes jealousy. And see, the esteem of the Elohim of Israel was there, like the vision that I saw in the plain. And he said to me, Son of man, please lift your eyes toward the north. And I lifted my eyes northward, and north of the altar gate I saw this image of jealousy in the entrance. And he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they are doing, the great abominations which the house of Yisrael are doing here, driving me away from my mikdash? And you are to see still greater abominations. Then he brought me to the door of the court, and I looked and saw a hole in the wall. And he said to me, Son of man, please dig into the wall. And when I dug into the wall, I saw a door, and he said to me, Go in and see the evil abominations which they are doing there. And I went in and looked and saw all kinds of creeping creatures, abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Yisrael carved all around on the walls. And facing them stood 70 men of the elders of the house of Yisrael, and in their midst stood Yahweh, son of Shaphan. Each one had a censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. And he said to me, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Yisrael are doing in the dark, each one in the room of his idols? For they say, Yahweh does not see us. Yahweh has forsaken the land. And he said to me, You are to see still greater abominations which they are doing. And he brought me to the door of the north gate of the house of Yahweh, and I saw women sitting there weeping for Tammuz. Then he said to me, Have you seen this, O son of man? You are to see still greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the house of Yahuah, and there at the door of the Yehezqel of Yahuah, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs toward the Yehezqel of Yahuah and their faces toward the east, and they were bowing themselves eastward to the sun. And he said to me, Have you seen, O son of man? Is it a small matter to the house of Yahudah to do the abominations which they have done here? For they have filled the land with violence and turned back to provoke me. And see, they are putting the branch to my nose. Therefore I shall indeed deal in wrath. My eye shall not pardon, nor would I spare. And they shall cry in my ears with a loud voice, but I shall not hear them. Yehezqel, Ezekiel chapter 9. And he called out in my hearing with a loud voice, saying, Let the punishers of the city draw near, each with his weapon of destruction in his hand. And look, 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with his battle axe in his hand. And one man in their midst was clothed with linen and had a writer's inkhorn at his side. And they came in and stood beside the bronze altar. And the esteem of the Elohim of Yisrael went up from the keruv, where it had been, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, who had the writer's inkhorn at his side. And Yahuah said to him, Pass on into the midst of the city, into the midst of Yerushalayim, and you shall put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. And to the others he said in my hearing, Pass on into the city after him and smite. Do not let your eye pardon nor spare. slay to destruction old, young men, maidens, and children and women, but do not come near anyone upon whom is the mark, and begin at my mikdash. So they began with the elders who were in front of the house. And he said to them, defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go out. And they went out and smote in the city. And as they were smiting them, it came to be that I alone was left, and I fell on my face and cried out and said, Adonai Yahuah, are you destroying all the remnants of Israel and pouring out your wrath on Jerusalem? And he said to me, the wickedness of the house of Israel and Yahudah is exceedingly great, and the land is filled with bloodshed, and the city filled with that which is warped. For they say, Yahweh has forsaken the land, and Yahweh is not seen. But as for me, my eye shall not pardon, nor would I spare. I shall recompense their deeds on their own head. And see, the man clothed with linen, who had the inkhorn at his side, reported back and said, I have done as you commanded me. Yehezqel, Ezekiel chapter 10. And I looked and saw in the expanse that was above the head of the cherubim, like a sapphire stone having the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spoke to the man clothed with linen and said, go in among the wheels under the cherub, and fill your hands with coals of fire from among the cherubim, and scatter over the city. And he went in before my eyes, and the cherubim were standing on the south side of the house when the man went in, and the cloud filled the inner court. And the esteem of Yahuah went up from the cherub over the threshold of the house, and the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was filled with the brightness of the esteem of Yahuah. And the sound of the wings of the cherubim was heard in the outer court, like the voice of El Shaddai when he speaks. And it came to be when he commanded the man clothed in linen, saying, take fire from among the wheels, from among the cherubim, that he went in and stood beside the wheel. And the cherub stretched out his hand from among the cherubim to the fire that was among the cherubim, and took some and put it into the hands of the man clothed with linen, who took it and went out. And the form of a man's hand was seen under the wings of the cherubim. And I looked and saw 4 wheels beside the cherubim, 1 wheel beside each cherub, and the wheels' appearance was like the color of beryl stone. As for their appearance, all 4 looked alike, as if a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went on their 4 sides. They did not turn aside when they went, but went in the direction the head was facing. They did not turn aside when they went. And their entire bodies, and their backs, and their hands, and their wings, and the wheels that the 4 had were covered with eyes all around. The wheels were called in my hearing, wheel. And each one had 4 faces. The first face was the face of a cherub, and the second face the face of a man, and the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle. And the cherubim were lifted up. It was the living creature I saw by the river Kebar. And when the cherubim went, the wheels went beside them. And when the cherubim lifted their wings to mount up from the earth, the same wheels also did not turn from beside them. When they stood still, the wheels stood still, and when one was lifted up, the other lifted itself up, for the spirit of the living creature was in them. And the esteem of Yahuah went from the threshold of the house and stood over the cherubim. And the cherubim lifted their wings and rose from the earth before my eyes. When they went out, the wheels were beside them, and it stood at the door of the east gate of the house of Yahuah. And the esteem of the Elohim of Yisrael was above them. It was the living creature I saw under the Elohim of Yisrael by the river Kebar, and I knew they were cherubim. Each one had 4 faces, and each one 4 wings, and the likeness of the hands of a man was under their wings, and the likeness of their faces was the same as the faces which I had seen by the river Kebar, their appearances and themselves. Each one went straight forward. Yehezqel, Ezekiel chapter 11. And the Ruach lifted me up and brought me to the east gate of the house of Yahweh, which faces east. And see, at the door of the gate went 25 men, among whom I saw Yehezqel, son of Azur, and Peletyahu, son of Benayahu, heads of the people. And he said to me, Son of man, these are the men who plot wickedness and give evil counsel in this city, who are saying, It is not near, let us build houses. This is the cooking pot, and we are the meat. Therefore Navah against them, Navah, O son of man. And the Ruach of Yahweh fell upon me and said to me, Speak, thus said Yahuah, thus you have said, O house of Yisrael, for I know what comes up in your spirit. You have increased your slain in this city and filled its streets with the slain. Therefore thus said the Adon Yahuah, Your slain whom you have laid in its midst, they are the meat, and this city is the cooking pot, but I shall bring you out of the midst of it. You have feared the sword, and I bring a sword upon you, declares the Adon Yahuah. And I shall bring you out of its midst and give you into the hands of strangers and execute judgments on you. By the sword you fall. At the border of Yisrael I judge you, and you shall know that I am Yahuah. This is not your cooking pot, nor are you in the meat in its midst. At the border of Yisrael I judge you, and you shall know that I am Yahuah. For you have not walked in my laws, nor executed my right rulings, but have done according to the rulings of the Gentiles which are all around you. And it came to be while I was Nevuah that Peletyahu son of Benaiah died. And I fell on my face and cried out with a loud voice and said, Adonai Yahuah, are you making an end of the remnant of Yisrael? Then the word of Yahuah came to me, saying, Son of man, your brothers, your relatives, your kinsmen, and all the house of Yisrael, all of it, are those about whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem said, Keep far from Yahuah, this land has been given to us as a possession. Therefore say, Thus said the Adon Yahuah, Although I have sent them far off among the Gentiles, and although I have scattered them among the lands, yet I was for them a mikdash for a little while in the lands to which they came. Therefore say, Thus said the Adon Yahuah, And I shall gather you from the peoples, and I shall assemble you from the lands where you have been scattered, and I shall give you the land of Yisrael. And they shall go there, and shall take away all its filthiness and all its abominations from there. And I shall give them one heart, and put a new spirit within you. And I shall take the stony heart out of their flesh, and give them a heart of flesh, so that they walk in my laws, and guard my right rulings, and shall do them. And they shall be my people, and I shall be their Elohim. But to those whose hearts walk after the heart of their filthiness and their abominations, I shall recompense their deeds on their own heads, declares the Adon Yahuah. And the cherubim lifted up their wings with the wheels beside them, and the esteem of the Elohim of Yisrael was high above them. And the esteem of Yahuah went up from the midst of the city and stood upon the mountain which is on the east side of the city. And the Ruach lifted me up and brought me in a vision by the Ruach of Elohim into Kasdim to those in exile. And the vision that I had seen went up from me. And I spoke to those in exile of all the words of Yahuah which he had shown me.